What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Shots on Target podcast. My name is Phil, and this week we are not joined by my man Jakey as he is away on holiday. So it's just yours truly this week. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Remember to like and subscribe if you do enjoy it. And let's get straight into it, guys. Right, guys. So we're going to be doing things a bit different this week. We're going to be incorporating both segments together, referee watch and total football, because it's only myself, and we're going to try and keep things a lot shorter from now on. So we'll kick off the Premier League weekend back after the international break with the Merseyside derby, a fantastic game to start the Premier League back again with. Liverpool winning 2-0 at home to Everton without its conscientious decisions, of course. So we'll get straight into those. We obviously have the Ashley Young red card. I believe it was a red card. It was two bad tackles. I think another ref possibly could have given him a final warning with it being that early in the game. And unfortunately it changes the game. I'm an advocate where I think red cards just change the game. So unless you absolutely have to brandish a red card, it's hard to see, unfortunately, from a spectator's point of view. But nevertheless, it was a red card. But then we come to one of the big conscientious decisions, which is the Konate not red card. Obviously, he gets a first booking, correct decision. Second one, Beto spins him and he just completely wipes him out on the counter attack. It should have been a second yellow and a red card. It should have been that simple. Klopp even knew himself because he planned to wipe him out 30 seconds later, but and make the sub. But he just Konate definitely got away with one, and Liverpool got away with one there for me, because I think even though Liverpool were dominating and they've been dominating for obviously large portions of the game, and it's still Liverpool-Everton, it would have given Everton at least a glimmer of hope. But nonetheless, red card wasn't shown. Liverpool still have to beat what's in front of them. I think Everton defended fantastically. They were very, very unlucky to go 1-0 down, and we will touch on that because there is a specific point I want to make this week, which is my question to you all, but we'll get into that in a minute. So moving on, we obviously had the 3 o'clock kickoffs. The biggest one that stood out for me is the Bournemouth Wolves game. I think it was a fantastic comeback from Wolves. I really wanted to touch on this one this week because I think Wolves and Gary O'Neill are doing an absolutely fantastic job. We were speaking about them before at the start of the season when we were doing our transfer predictions and stuff like that, and everybody had them in the bottom 3 because they got no money to spend. It was looking bleak. They had 6 or 7 injuries, and Gary O'Neill was obviously coming in with, I think it was a week's notice. So it's absolutely fantastic job he's done. He's obviously came in, he's demanded work rate out of the players, and they're showing it. They've got a good philosophy, a good system that he wants to play. He does his homework, Gary O'Neill. I don't know if you guys saw the clip on Monday Night Football where he literally showed how they were going to play against Bournemouth, and they literally work on it on the training ground, and he has an exact system how he wants to play. And just little things like that are just fantastic to see from me, in my eyes. So massive props to Wolves. They're obviously 1-0 down, which was against the run of play, and then they came back and won 2-1. I will say, for a couple of Bournemouth mistakes, though, the Wolves goals, where they came from, and Bournemouth are looking very weak at the minute at the back, and they're not scoring that many goals. So it's kind of worrying times for Bournemouth, but nevertheless, a fantastic win for Wolves. So moving on to the late games on Saturday. Oh, I also want to touch on the fantastic comeback from Luton as well. Just a quick brief moment on Luton. 2-0 down against Forest. Should have been 3-4-0 down. Forest should have had that in the bag. It's 2 points drop for Forest, no doubt, but a huge point for Luton away at Forest. It's one of those games where you can't afford to lose it, really, if you're Luton. And they did fantastically well to come back, so props to Luton. That could be a big point going forward. But anyway, we get to the evening kickoffs. We're only going to touch on the one. Obviously, we know Man United came on to Sheffield United and won, and we obviously, Saturday was the sad news about Bobby Charlton, rest in peace, an absolute football legend. We're not going to touch too much on that. Everyone knows he's a football legend. Our thoughts go out to him and his family. We hope he rests in peace. And what a servant he was to the game and for England. He was part of the England winning 1966 World Cup squad, a Manchester United legend, and an absolute advocate for football. So, we get finally to the Chelsea-Arsenal game. This was a very weird one. Chelsea, for me, looked like they were dominating for large portions of the game. Pochettino had them set up beautifully. No striker. He played with a false 9 with Cole Palmer, and it seemed to work beautifully. They were overloading the midfield against Arsenal. And the first goal came through a handball decision. And this is where I am going to touch on this, guys. This is a question I want to ask you guys. Should the handball rule be changed right now? Is it viable right now what it is? Because right now, if it touches the hand, it's a handball at the end of the day. That is pretty much what they've decided on. If your arm is away from the silhouette of your body, regardless if, so like in this case with Saliba's, you have to use your arms to jump. You have to do that. If anyone that's played football knows, you have to use your arm for balance when jumping. Everybody tries to use their hands to get more leap and distance, etc. So for me, what Saliba did was nothing wrong. He cannot affect. It's not a deliberate handball. And this is the question I bring to you guys. For me, personally, the handball rule should be changed. It should be changed to, it must be a deliberate handball. That is where they need to change it to. Because right now, anything can be a handball right now. If it takes a deflection and hits someone's arm, but their arm's just out there because maybe they were pointing to tell a defender where to be and they don't realise, and the ball hits the foot, comes up, hits the arm, that will be a penalty right now. I get what the referees are trying to do, but for me, they're just going all the wrong way about it. Now, don't get me wrong, there were a few of these decisions this week. You had Saliba's, you had the one in the Merseyside derby as well, and you also had the one with who else was the other one? There was a third one. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, so it was McTominay's with Manchester United after he equalised. He scored, sorry, they equalised. But yeah, so what do you guys think? That's what I want to know right now. I want to see all your comments down below if you guys think the handball rule should be changed or not. Because for me personally, it has to be changed. I think they need to just change it. It just needs to be one extra added word for me. It has to be a deliberate handball. We're talking about if someone takes a shot and you put your arm out there to block it, that is a deliberate handball. For example, for Saliba's, the guy's jumping. Mudrik's beating him to the header, but he's jumped with his arms out like this. Okay, yeah, it's out of the silhouette of his body, but he's done it because to get balance. At the end of the day, he's done it to get balance. Now, I know a lot of Chelsea fans will be saying, no, it was a handball. And yeah, it was handball, you're right. But there's a difference between handball and a deliberate handball that should be deserving in a penalty. Because if you're thinking about it as well, if the referee deems that as deliberate, why is that not also a red card then? Because he's stopping a clear goal-scoring opportunity, if you think about it as well. So why was that conversation never brought up as well? This is the question. Obviously, it's good for the game that they're not doubling up and also giving red cards for this sort of thing. But I just think they need to have a little look at it and just, for me, just change it to a deliberate handball. That is where I stand. I don't know how you guys, I think it'd be interesting to read your comments about where you think it should go. But that is for me. And that is the big talking point of this week. Should it be changed to a deliberate handball? Or maybe you guys want to see something different. I don't know. Maybe you want to see it so that, I don't know, so it has to be really clear and obvious that it's a handball. Do you know what I mean? That they're actually trying to stop it, which again would be in the realms of deliberate, I suppose. But that is what I think it should be. I don't know about you guys. But as I say, it'd be interesting to read your comments. I'm looking forward to it. Always up for a good discussion on football about what we think should change, and if you guys think something different than maybe someone else does. It's always interesting to read your comments. So that's the big talking point of this week, guys. Once again, should the handball rule be changed? Yes or no? And if so, To what? And if not, why? So that'll be very interesting to read indeed. But moving on, so I'm going to touch on the final couple of Premier League games. So we've obviously got Villa West Ham on Sunday, my own team. Poor performance from us. I think we looked good in patches for maybe about 20 minutes, but Villa absolutely dominated the game. At times they looked like prime Barcelona. Ollie Watkins looks like he's playing with bags of confidence. Unai Emery's got him firing again. And I think I read a stat the other day that in 2023 they're up there with City, Arsenal, Barcelona, Real Madrid for goals and assists scored and points and everything else. So Unai Emery's doing a fantastic job. And it's going to be interesting. The race for the top four this year is going to be very interesting indeed, because I don't think Arsenal are as dominant as they was last season. They don't look it for me. City have had purple patches but have also looked quite sluggish. You've got Tottenham, who are absolutely flying, and we're going to get onto them in a minute. And then you've got Villa, Newcastle, Brighton you can never write out as well. I actually do put West Ham in that conversation. I don't think we're top four, but I think we're around about 7th, 8th maybe at the minute. But yeah, as I say, it was a fantastic win for Aston Villa. I think West Ham United have got not problems as such, but we cannot seem to break into that top 6. We usually play well against the top teams as well. Usually when a team wants to attack us and we can play on the counter, that is where it's our wheelhouse usually. And it just didn't happen on Sunday. I think the only bright sparks were maybe Jared Bowen, probably Paqueta in patches, maybe a little bit Ward-Prowse. Souček looked lost. Antonio was nowhere near it, really. But I have to just give props to Villa on this one. It does frustrate me, though, as a West Ham United fan. Now, I hear a lot of people, every week when we don't play well, I see the same thing on social media from the West Ham fans, is Antonio's not good enough, he doesn't do enough. And I agree to a certain extent, but at the end of the day, the work rate that guy puts in off the ball, we've tried it with other strikers. We had Haller. He didn't work as hard off the ball. He wanted to play as just a target man. It didn't work. We then went with Skamaka, exact same thing. You look at these players now, Haller scoring in the German league, Skamaka scoring for Atalanta. Sometimes the player just doesn't fit the system. But Antonio does fit our system. I don't know what striker would be good enough in our system to play the way we play. We were obviously looking at En-Nesyri at the end of the window. Hopefully we will open up talks with that again in January. Because I think even though we don't have like a pure out and out goal scoring striker, I think even just sticking someone in there that's going to challenge Antonio always raises his game. I don't know why. Because obviously his only challenge right now is Danny Ings, and that's not a challenge for Antonio. He knows he's going to play every single game, unless he's injured. So for me, you just need to have a bit of competition. Sometimes competition brings out the best in people. Sometimes it can do the opposite, but I think in this case it would do Antonio a lot of favours. But as I say, not good enough from West Ham. Hopefully we'll bounce back in Europe this week, and then take that into this weekend's fixtures. But moving on, Tottenham Hotspur, the Monday night game, can always be a bit of a tricky one. A Monday night game when you're playing when you're the last team to play, and obviously Tottenham Hotspur in fantastic form. And well, what can I say? They look fantastic. They really do look fantastic. I will say they did give Fulham chances that Fulham did not take after they made subs, but sometimes the way Tottenham play, it's just absolutely beautiful to watch. And just got them playing some beautiful football. Heung-min Son's back on the score sheet again. Same with James Maddison. Both full of confidence. I think the only downside to this Tottenham team at the minute will be when they lose a game. That will be when we see what they can do. Because we all know Spurs can be very Spursy. But right now, you just got to give props to them. Especially, one player I really do want to point out is Van der Ven. This guy has been insane. Absolutely insane. He came in as a bit of an unknown, and Tottenham have been looking for a partnership for Romero for God knows how many years, because Romero's always been quite solid. He's just always been a bit outrageous with his tackles, and he's very good to get a booking. And but even this season, Romero has been fantastic as well. He doesn't dive in as much. He's very calm on the ball, and I think that's because of someone like Van der Ven being next to him. So I've got to give massive props to Van der Ven. Same with you, Doggy, as well. Um, Richarlison, we know what he can bring. Obviously, they signed him to score goals, but right now, when you've got Son and Madison playing that well, you don't really need it at the minute. But obviously, they will when the games get tougher and the fixture list starts piling up. And this was the biggest thing for me going into the Premier League. I thought Tottenham were going to be a threat simply because they are not in Europe. That is so big for Tottenham, because although you as a team you want to be in Europe, but look at the breathing room it's giving them and the performances they're delivering because of it. It's absolutely fantastic to watch. It really is. And obviously, as we look at the table right now, Tottenham sit on top of it. 2 points clear of City. Played 9, won 7, drawn 2, 23 points. Then you've got City and Arsenal on 21 and Liverpool on 20. And Villa sitting just behind them on 19. So the Premier League is taking shape slowly. Obviously, only 9 games played. Teams now have got to tackle the European fixtures as well midweek. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Some interesting results so far already, and I expect them to be a few more as we go along. But that is going to do it, guys, for Total Football and Referee Watch put together. We touched on a few different bits and pieces. And yeah, that is going to do it, guys. I will see you for the next segment. All right, guys. So, a brand new segment again. So this week I asked you guys to drop any questions that you had below on the social media pages that you would like answered for this week. I thought it'd be something cool to do, seeing it's just myself. So yeah, let's get straight into these questions then. So question 1. What do you think the current Arsenal and West Ham teams can realistically achieve this year? A very good question to kick us off with. So, personally, I think West Ham can realistically finish in the top 7 in the Premier League. And I also believe that we realistically can make a very good run in the Europa League again. I think we love, right now, we're loving European football. We seem to find a way. I think in terms of the Europa League, with the teams that are in it at the minute, I don't see too much of a threat, barring your Liverpool, maybe your Brighton. But it's going to be interesting. It all depends as well what teams drop down from the Champions League as well. That's always the biggest one with the Europa League. Obviously, your third place team will drop down into the Champions League, and we all know the one team that will most likely drop into the Europa League and be one of the hot favourites is the team that's won it so many times, which is Sevilla. So it's always going to be interesting. In terms of Arsenal, realistically, I think you guys could still challenge for the Premier League. I do believe that. I think you guys have a very good, solid foundation on which to build on. I think every year you're building slowly. I think obviously Declan Rice is a standout signing for you guys. You've still got your big hitters in your Jesus, your Martinelli, your Sakas, your Odegaards. I do think Odegaard has been a bit quiet this year, though. I think in the big games he needs to step up a bit more, because he was the big influencer last year. Why you won those big games was Martin Odegaard. Now, I know it's not always just on one player. Of course it isn't. But I do think Martin Odegaard can be a big thing, a big help. And obviously, your goalkeeper situation in the minute is very questionable in David Raya. He's made some very interesting decisions already. And I just think Aaron Ramsdale's a better keeper anyway. And when you've got a good keeper, it just calms everyone down. And then you can just get back to playing the football that you want to play. When you're dominating a game and then David Raya kicks it to the opposing player, it just spreads panic instantly, and you're out of position and you can't get back into it and stuff like that. But realistically, I think Arsenal I generally think Arsenal can make a deep run in the Champions League. I actually do think that as well. I think at least the quarterfinals for Arsenal in the Champions League. I think you can challenge for the league, and I do see Arsenal winning a trophy this year. Not sure what it's going to be, but I do think this is the year Arsenal pick up a proper trophy. Now, I know Arsenal fans are going to get pissed off for me, but the Community Shield is not a proper trophy, guys. I'm sorry, it's just not. So, I do believe Arsenal can pick up a proper trophy this year. They will at least be in one cup final. I do believe that. So, next question. These are all from the same person, by the way, Aaron Baker. Thank you so much for these questions. Do you think City are as effective as last season? I don't. I really don't. I think the players that they got rid of, I think were actually mistakes. I think Mahrez was a fantastic player to come off the bench. I think Gundogan was a huge loss for them. I know he was aging and it didn't make sense to renew his contract, and it made sense to sell him at the time they did. I understand that. But I don't think they've brought in anyone that really brings what Gundogan brings. Don't get me wrong, it's Manchester City. They've got goals everywhere. You've got Haaland, Bernardo Silva, Alvarez. Grealish is going to come back. I think the biggest thing for me has to be Kevin De Bruyne. They need him back ASAP. I think at the minute it's not too bad. Obviously, they did lose 2 games in a row to Arsenal and to Wolves. But it's not the end of the world for Man City fans at the minute, I think. But when Kevin De Bruyne comes back, though, even though it will take a little while after he comes back, he just brings something different. He's one of those players that can literally just put it on a plate for a player. And when you've got someone like a Haaland or Alvarez, Grealish, etc., the ball ends up in the back of the net 99% of the time. So to answer the question, I don't think they're as effective as last season at the minute. I do expect them to be as effective as last season. I will say one last thing as well, which is Gvardiol hasn't exactly hit the ground running like I thought he would. I thought Gvardiol would have done and been a lot more of a bigger player for City than he has been. But obviously, coming to a brand new league, new manager, new setup, new players, takes time. And finally, who are your current top 5 players in the world, excluding Ronaldo, Messi, Haaland, and Mbappe? A very interesting one, this one. I was thinking about it when we received this question. So my top 5 players in the world would have to be Jude Bellingham, Rafael Leao, I think Alisson, I think see, this is where I got stuck. I got to 3 easy straight off the bat. Vinicius Junior, I will go with number 4, and number 5 I am going to give it to. I'm going to give number 5 to. Oh, this is a tough one. It's an absolute tough one because there are so many up and coming good talents in the world. And obviously some big players play a big part in games. Do you know what? Currently at the minute, I'm going to give number 5 to... Oh, so this is really tough. It's a fantastic question, but it's a really tough one. Okay. No more time taken. This is going to be a bit of a controversial one, but I think at the minute, just through performance-wise, I'm actually going to give it to Raheem Sterling. Now, I know it's going to sound so controversial and people are going to be thinking, what the hell are you thinking? But I just think the confidence he's on at the minute... In fact, no. In fact, no. I'm going to change my answer, actually. Sorry, Raheem. I'm going to change my answer. James Maddison. I am actually going to put him in that conversation right now. And I'm also going to add Harry Kane as well. I know I'm just adding to the list here. These aren't even... We've gone past 5 now and I couldn't even make 5. But that is my list anyway, guys. I don't know if we... I'm not going to add any more to it. But those were the questions, guys. All from one man, Aaron Baker. Thank you very much, Aaron, for the questions. And that's going to do it for that segment, guys. Thank you very much. All right, guys. Last but not least, we have... Oh, well, only my Premier League predictions for this week. So we're going to just get straight into it, guys. So we're kicking off with Crystal Palace and Tottenham on Friday evening. For me, that's a Tottenham win. So Saturday morning we've got Chelsea versus Brentford. That's an interesting one, but I think Chelsea take that. I think Chelsea showed very good signs at Arsenal, so Chelsea take that for me. So going into the 3 o'clocks, only 2 of them this week, which is interesting. Arsenal, Sheffield United, that's a home Arsenal win for me, not a problem there. And then Bournemouth, Burnley, that's a draw for me. I think both teams struggling in confidence. I think they'll both play out a draw. Maybe a home Bournemouth win, but I think a draw will probably happen there. And then the evening game, Wolves, Newcastle. Now, this is a very interesting one for me because Wolves are in very good form at the minute, and so are Newcastle. But I think Newcastle will have just a bit too much for them on the day, even away. So I think Newcastle take that one. Then we got the Sunday games. Quite a few of them on this week for Sunday. Kicking off with my boys West Ham at home to Everton. I actually see West Ham winning this. I do. I think West Ham will win this one. Then we've got the couple of 2 o'clock kickoffs. Sorry, we've got Brighton against Fulham. That's a Brighton home win for me. Then we've got Aston Villa at home to Luton. That's an easy Aston Villa home win for me. And then Liverpool at home to Nottingham Forest. Again, that's another easy Liverpool home win for me. All 4 home wins on a Sunday for me, that one. And then last but not least, Manchester United versus Man City, the Manchester Derby at Old Trafford. I can't see anything but a City win here. I really can't. I think Man United are lacking in confidence. I don't see any way there. I think usually though Manchester United do perform well against City. They always have a plan for City, which is weird. But I think on this occasion, with it being the final game of the Premier League week as well, I think City take that away at Manchester United. I don't know what the score will be, but I do think Man City will take it. So that is going to do it, guys, for the Premier League predictions for this week. Let us know in the comments down below what predictions you think are going to happen. Do you think there's going to be any shock results this week that spin the table upside down? There's always one. I've gone with what probably everyone would expect me to go for. I haven't gone for anything crazy, but I'm sure one of you guys watching will have a crazy prediction that we'd love to hear. So make sure that you do pop it down in the comments below. And that's going to do it, guys, for predictions. All right, guys. And that is it for this week on the Shots on Target podcast. I'd just like to say thank you so much for entertaining just myself this week. It's a lot difficult on your own, I can promise you that. Having to just talk to yourself for 30 odd minutes. So I do apologise if it's not as good as it usually is, guys, but needs must, and the content has to keep coming for you guys, and I want to bring it to you guys. So it's been a pleasure to do it as always. Remember, if you guys did enjoy it, remember to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, especially subscribers, guys. Only between 10 and 15% are actually subscribed on our channel that view it. So if you just take 2 seconds out of your day, guys, just hit that subscribe button. It would mean the absolute world to us. It's absolutely free to do. Doesn't cost anything. You just need to have a YouTube account, which 95% of you guys do probably. So just hit that subscribe button and make our day. So once again, thank you guys so much for watching. It's been a pleasure. My name is Phil, and we'll see you next time, guys. Cheers.